Hey, Bali's an acrobat.
Bal is wild, bro.
I can only
Wilding out.
I can only do two positions, tumble and roll. What acrobat talking about?
Okay.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Inconsiderate Insights. We have the usual gang of troublemakers here today, but today we've got a bit of some fun feminine juice here with Hafi. Hey everyone, give us some love.
What up? Do you say ha 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 Hafi?
I was so nervous. I got the nerves, you know. Because we don't want to end up in another exhibition of Hafi. That's what she does with a kill list.
Hey, but that's cool, right? If let's say we are in an exhibition, we will be called exhibitionists, right? No. I'm sorry.
Shut up, Zoro.
You mean exhibit?
Oh yeah, exhibit. Yeah. My bad.
Yeah, then we can charge her, but then we can charge her royalty fees, man.
No, we can get
How about that?
honorariums, bro. That's what you call. That's the term.
Ooh.
Yeah, to be
Okay.
represented.
Industry terms.
Yeah.
Okay, Api, why don't you tell us, right? Instead of a boring ass introduction,
What do you want to know?
on your Bumble bio? That's the introduction. Read out your Bumble bio to
Read
us.
out, word by word.
Okay, I just made it up just now. The help of my flatmate Soko. She's in the kitchen.
What's the name, Roko?
What up, Soko?
Her name is Soko.
Roko.
She's checking on her kombucha. Yeah.
Is she Korean?
No, she's Japanese.
Ooh.
Yes, forgiven for the kombucha.
Okay, so my Bumble profile description.
Yeah.
I wrote here.
Go.
I paint cats, nudes, and bad dates.
Okay, but like, why are you painting new cats?
No,
Didn't say I
cats,
paint-
comma, newts.
Yeah,
Alright.
cats, nudes, and bad dates.
Okay, explain why each of it. Why cats? What's your fascination with cats, Safi?
I have two cats, but they're right now at my parents' house.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do
Do you miss your cats?
Are you a deadbeat cat
Oh.
mom?
I really miss them. Like I want to bring them, to the new house, but yeah, my parents are too attached to them, and
Mhm.
they now love the cats more than they love their children, I guess. Yeah,
Wow.
it's really sad.
Wow. Okay.
But it happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
planning to get a new cat? Are you planning to get another cat or something?
I don't know. Maybe I'll foster a cat, but I don't think I'm like ready right now to like
settling down,
actually
ah.
adopt a cat. Yeah, because there's still lots of boxes around this house.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm really like fresh in the hood, so
Okay, where is the hood, by the way?
the hood.
Yeah.
I'll just say it's at Little India.
Well, okay, I mean,
Ooh, yeah, I love Little Indias, yeah.
Yeah,
some
So-
character.
it's a really cute house. Like I really like it. Like location is great, and then
Mhm.
there's a huge space outside where I can paint.
Oh, wow.
Like I can also paint in my room, and then yeah.
Is it by any
So-
chance? Is it near Dunlop Street?
I don't want
Wow.
people to stop me.
Damn, Zeke.
I mean, I know where you're getting at, but yeah, let's not go there. So, yeah.
Okay,
I'm not
okay,
gonna
okay,
answer. Yeah.
Fine.
but Afi, when
Okay.
did you started with painting? Like how far back in your your history or your career, like have you been painting?
Uh-huh. Okay, it's as cliche as it may sound, I started, I think, yeah, like as a kid, kindergarten, or like even younger than that. Like my mom would always like buy sketchbooks for me, and then I would just like draw. And then I think like, yeah, it just got, I mean, even when I grew older, I was still drawing, so it didn't like leave me. So it's kind of like a hobby turn like job, I guess.
Okay, but you
I would
didn't
say
have your
that.
you had your first exhibition last year, right? Was it this year?
Mhm. No, this year. Sorry, last year.
Hey, wait, it was your first one.
Yeah,
First
it's my
own exhibition.
first solo exhibition.
Okay. But you
Yeah.
have participated in exhibitions before, right? Before this.
Yeah, I have participated in like group exhibitions. And like some of the exhibitions are mostly, my design work. So it's like nothing of like, like all the artistic work,
Mhm.
such a funny word to use, but like all my like art stuff. So basically like my side hustle stuff.
Your style.
Like I've never actually, I've been like drawing them for quite a bit ever since like, I think 2 to 3 years ago. Like it got like more like personal, and then after that, yeah, I think like I only was ready like this year to like make a solo exhibition, because I think like most part of it was like I was really scared to like make a solo exhibition, because it's really you putting yourself out there. You have to be like vulnerable, and I think the topic that I chose also was like really, really like personal. So it kind of like scared me a bit, but I thought that like, yeah, maybe this year I'm just like ready to like reveal everything to the world. Yeah,
Drop it all.
so that's my story lah.
I have a question though. Like, when comparison when you first started off and now, like,
Right.
how can you describe your progression in terms of like your inspirational processes, and like, do you feel like over time you tend to like this is like a double question. So the first question is like, how do you describe your progression when you first started to now that you have launched your solo exhibition? And then the second is like, do you feel like over time as an artist, like when you are actually embarking your journey, you tend to like start to be more aware of your surroundings and start to like like have more understanding of what's going on around you, and how do you translate that into your works? Yeah.
That's a very long question.
I know.
I'll answer the first one.
I'm
like, what? So the first question is, how did I the progress, right, of like my work from like how when I first started to like now. Yeah, I would say like I think I only started drawing like seriously when I went to poly. So I took like a diploma course in like Viscom long time ago at Singapore Poly. And that was kind of when I actually decided that I wanted to kind of not really be an illustrator, but like concentrate on like illustrations. But I could understand like why I was like so confused like at that moment, because like I was just like I couldn't find my own voice. Like, I went to school, and then it's always like the same things that the teachers or like the lecturers are like showing us. It's always like vector illustrations, and it's always like street art, because like that was what was relevant like during my time when I was like in school. And I really didn't like it. Like I hated it, and like I was just like, oh, like, can illustrations, like if this is illustration, then I don't want to be a part of it. I mean, that I didn't say that to my teacher but like I was kind of like, like, is this it? Yeah. So I think what really opened me up to like, illustrating or like using like different mediums, like exploring like using colored pencils, exploring using paint, not just like digitally. I actually I attended a talk that my lecturers organized, and one of the illustrators was Crystal Melson.
Oh, okay.
So I saw her work. I think you guys should be familiar. Yeah, she's like a household name. Yeah, so yeah, she went to give a talk, and like back then she was like still young, and like when I saw her works, I was like, whoa, like totally in awe, because I was like, wow, illustrations could be like this. It doesn't have to be like, so like cold and like just like vectors and just like using like Adobe
Shutterstock.
Illustrator. Yeah, or like, like the dribble illustrations, that kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be just that, it could be like a whole new world. So I think by like attending that talk and like seeing like Crystal's work, that really like jolted me. Like when I saw it, it was just like an aha moment, and like I was just like, whoa, like I want to grow up and be like Crystal Nelson. Like I remember like writing it in my diary, like, oh my god, this girl's like so cool. And then like she made her own bags, and like, yeah, like I really looked up to her back then. Like she was like, wow, my ultimate like idol. And then yeah, I guess like that really opened up like a lot of doors for me. And then I like I experimented with like a lot of things. Like, I use paint, I use like ink, and I wasn't afraid to like play with all these like different mediums, because I mean, they always say like in school you're allowed to make like a lot of mistakes, and that's where you can experiment a lot. So that's exactly what I did. And then I think slowly like I kind of found like my own voice. Yeah, but I also think like all these kind of evolves. Like if you were to compare my works like now and my work like 10 years ago, of course, like there's a huge difference. And I think like it also connects a lot with like who I am as a person, or like my confidence. So like when I was 10 years younger, I might not be like the most confident like person in the world, or like the most confident like woman, because I'm still like searching for like who I am, identity, culture, all these kind of things. Like it all plays a huge role. And I think now, I wouldn't say like I found my voice, but I kind of know the direction that I want to go to. And I always say to myself, like, if I draw or if I illustrate, like, yeah, it has all got to do with like, being honest with myself, and like, yeah, what I want to portray has to be like super like spontaneous. It's just literally like brain to like paper and like nothing else. Yeah. And yeah, I think
Yeah, I so I just want to jump in a bit. I think
Mhm.
it's like paying off really well, like with what you're doing. When you said when you're doing something, you just gotta be honest and do what you feel is right, and do
Yeah.
what's your style lah. So and that why I say it pays off is because like each time I see Hafiz artwork. Oh, so by the way, I was once colleagues with Hafi back in Uber, and she did some campaigns for Uber as well. So even before that, I knew of her. I knew of your existence when you were in, I think, foreign policy or something. So you have
Yeah.
this distinctive design style that is totally off grid. It's not the usual design that you see, like it's not the average design. It's like quite unique in terms of the colors, the grids, and all that. So what I want to say is that once you look at her artwork, right, you can actually tell that, hey, this looks like Hafiz artwork. So sometimes it's a hit or miss. Sometimes it's yours. Sometimes it's like someone from like Paris or whatever. But you kind of establish yourself as having a distinctive style, which I think that the honesty kind of paid off lah. And now that you have established your own artwork, which is all your paintings and all that, so I think that kind of like pins it down now that that's your style that you have found.
Mm-hmm.
So when do you find that style? Is it like quite recently, or is it?
When did I find it?
Yeah, the in terms of that painting style or your
The
art.
painting style, I think like it's really hard to tell, because like okay, usually, right, like if a new style emerges when I'm kind of sick of like my day job. So like
Day job. Okay, what's your day job?
Because you're kind of wearing two hats at the moment.
I think yeah, like the context is that like I do have a full-time job during the day, and I do my side hustle, like my art and my illustration works, all like after work
And
or
what do
like
you do
during the
daytime?
weekends. During the daytime, I'm just like a creative lead for like a marketing team for a co-working space. Yeah.
So because for you, there's a bit of an interesting evolution, right? You
Mm,
after graduation, you dove into the professional world for a bit before you decided, hey, you know what, I want to explore this artistic side again and
mhm. Yeah.
painting, running my own exhibition. How long was that gap?
I think after I graduated, wait, when did I graduate? Can I check?
Sure.
Yes, please.
CV. Check your resume.
Yeah. I go to my website.
Okay, by the way, the website can be flashed here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hahahafi.com. Okay.
Yeah. It's like three
Don't worry,
hearts.
Hafiz, we'll give you some time for your plug lah.
Yeah. It's like three hearts and
We'll
a
give you
feet.
some time for your plug. Don't worry.
Okay, so like I graduated from NTU 2015.
Oh,
So
So
that
what
was
do you
like
do?
what, 5 years ago. Yeah.
Oh wait, so that means you
So-
went poly, then NTU.
Yeah, I went to poly, and then after that, like after graduating from poly, I worked for like 2 years, I guess. Yeah, at a
Okay.
branding agency that I don't know, I didn't really like it. I didn't really like the job because I felt like I didn't learn much. And then that was when I decided that like, yeah, maybe I should like go back to school because I feel like, you know, poly
Which-
education was kind of like touch and go.
Which branding agency is this? If we
It closed down already, so it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Oh really? Like when did it close
Yeah.
down? Like last year?
When? No, I think like a few years ago, like it
okay.
folded. Yeah, but that was like my first like branding job, like a legit job after I
Well,
graduated.
at
Yeah,
least,
so
at
I
least now
think
we know why it closed down now, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay, so after
no
that, NTU.
lah. Yeah, then after that I decided to go to NTU. But actually like before NTU, right, when I was like still at that branding job, I did try out to get a degree at LCC, London College of Communications.
Okay.
Yeah, so because they had a course that is like visual communications, but like more into like illustrations. So like illustration, like visual communication, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so like I
Mhm.
got in, but then I tried getting like a scholarship like 2 times and I didn't get it. So I was like really pissed. I'm not gonna say like which organization it is, but like I was really pissed that I didn't get the scholarship.
Your flash
Salty,
organization.
yeah.
Yeah, I tried like 2 times and then I didn't get it, and I was like, forget it. Cause like at that point of time, like seriously, like I didn't have like money to send myself, you know, overseas to study,
But
and like my parents.
Why the need
Mhm.
for higher education? Why did you feel this need? Like, okay, you know what? I want to get my degree in communications. Was it? What did you
Yeah,
get?
visual communications. Yeah.
What spurred you? What was the? Why do you feel the necessity to do that?
I think at that point when I applied for the LCC course, it was because like it was a course that interests me, and like I wanted to push like my illustrations further. And because it was kind of like, okay, it's like illustrations, but it's not just like, you know, illustrating for the sake of like illustrating, which is like art, I guess. But like it's illustration, but like, you know, you can kind of like use it for like communicating, which is like kind of like what I do now. So like using like images or using like graphics or like drawings to kind of like visually communicate what the client wants. So like I thought like it would be relevant for like my line of work. Yeah.
Well, what do you feel like you got the most out of your undergrad education? Like when you came out of it as an artist, did you feel like really acquired something that transformed you as an artist, or as a you know, as a marketer even?
Honestly,
Yeah, that's right. Honestly,
honest God.
Honest.
Okay, honestly, right? I
$15
think
better, real talk.
okay, like the real talk, huh? So the 4 years of like education, right? I felt like I learned much more like design thinking, and I learned much more like analytic skills and like how to say what is that skill that you use for like art history? Visual analysis, yeah, basically. So like I learned a lot of that because like I was really interested in like art history like when I was like studying in uni. So I decided to like minor in like art history. So like all these like visual communication stuff that I did, I think most of the things that I learned was from work. So while I was like working at like NTU, I was also like kind of like interning and freelancing at like foreign policy. So like most of like the branding stuff and like all the things that like like graphic design and like how to like brand something and like how to market something, like most of that I learned like on the job. Like I didn't think that I learned it from school. Yeah.
So for
And I
you,
think
it's
like
it's the more of the art history part, like the
yeah, definitely more like academics.
academic stuff.
That part like I learned a lot, like way a lot. Like I learned so much from like, because I had to go through like foundation year. So at first I was a bit like, oh my god, like why are they putting me through like foundation when like I already have like a diploma in like visual communications? Like I thought it was useless at the beginning, but
Oh, you had to go through foundation in NTU.
yeah, because
Fun of waste
like
times,
they didn't allow you to be exempted. They basically
Okay.
like make you go through like 4 years, but they said like, oh, but you can get like advanced standing. So like there are some courses that you don't have to take. So if like some of the courses like match, like, like I took some courses like in poly and it matches with like some of it in NTU. So I could like skip it. And one of the things that I could skip is actually like internship. So like I didn't have to go through internships to get like my grades. But I still went for internships anyway because I knew that like I would learn so much more from the industry rather than just like being in school.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you feel like you waste that year doing foundation in NTU?
Okay, at first I thought I was gonna waste like a lot of time in like foundation year, but to be honest, I actually enjoyed it. Yeah, I really did, because I think like there was a lot of things that I did that like push my boundaries, and I was so exposed to like so many like different art forms, like performance art. I was exposed to like film. I was exposed to like like the study of like how people like do narratives and all that. So I think like it really gave me a much like wider understanding of like communicating stuff like visually. Like at first you might think like it's not useful at all, but it actually helps with like my day-to-day work and like how I tackle a brief, or like how I like talk to a client, or how I conceptualize things. So all these actually like plays a lot of part in like my work eventually. Yeah.
Okay.
That was like the surprising plot twist going through like foundation year.
I think it's an interesting I think we should kind of get on the conversation about like, I mean not now lah, about if design students are actually learning in school compared to when they're working. Because to be honest, right, I share the same sentiment, because when I was schooling in LaSalle, I was actually doing part-time at a printing store in at Beras Basah. So doing printing. So I learned the most when my boss actually put a client next to me. The client is actually telling me what to do, like, can you design the name card this way? I want it this way because it gives the attention and all that, tells the number clearly and all that. So I learned a lot from them, and to be honest, in that, although it's like quite low paying, but it's fine. I got free Wacom from there, so all good.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah, cause like
Would you do it again, like your undergraduate, like given a chance, like you turn back the clock? Would you have still gone through that route, or would you have done something?
I do it again?
Was it that valuable an experience that
Actually, I would totally do it again and like slate it. Honestly, and maybe get like first class honors and like I don't know. kill
Hmm.
everyone.
But then the ultimate
I mean,
question,
with my grades, not like
but the ultimate question is really getting a paper
Mhm.
important in becoming a creative though. Like,
not at all.
Yeah.
so
I
that's
don't
the
even know
question.
where I keep my certificate. Honestly,
It's
it's
like,
like I just give to my mom.
Hey, but Afi, do your parents like pressure you to get a higher education, or is it all on you? Were you pressured
Honestly,
in any way?
they didn't pressure me, but like I think it was all on me lah. Like I
Okay.
was, yeah,
Okay.
because like I know the thing about like working in Singapore, it's always like, you gotta have like a degree, get like a high paying job. I wouldn't
Yeah.
say that it did not like help me because it did. Yeah.
but then
Yeah. But I think
was
now companies are not looking to it. The companies are not looking into like certificates anymore. I think like all the tech companies and all that. They have
It's
made
like
the
Chris Lee, man, the asylum guy. I always bring up that thing, right? That years ago I went for
Ooh.
this talk by Chris Lee, and he said that I think he had some NTU grads come there, and then they put their certificates on the table, and he was like, "I don't give a damn about your certificates unless you designed it."
Why the NTU kids even do that? Like that's so like not relevant anymore.
but,
Nerd.
but my question, but I got a question. Like, was Viscom like the first choice of your decision, like after leaving O levels? Like, was it something that you really wanted to be like a graphic designer or like a something art related? Was that like the first choice, or is it something like, oh like, oh yeah, bopian let's just choose this, and then because you're in it, and then like,
Mm.
hey, actually this is not that bad, and then suddenly you start growing passion, and then that's where everything goes like uphill from there.
I mean, just now what you described was a fairy tale, but I know
Yeah.
it didn't happen that way. Actually, right? Oh my god, like I think when I was 16 after O levels, I was just like freaking confused. I didn't know what to do with my life. And I think it's the same with like every 16-year-old, right? It's like you ask, like if you want to ask your parents, like, oh my god, what course should I go to? Like they wouldn't have the best answers also because they're not in your shoes, right? And yeah, and I'm not the type of person who would like just follow my friends because like they are going to that school. Because I know of like my 16-year-old friends doing that as well. So I don't know, like my decision at first I was like, oh my god, I think I wanna go to like mass comm because like being a DJ is kind of cool.
But like, what do you want to do at
Obviously.
16? Did you know that you were going to be a street artist at 16?
No, but I actually wanted to be a designer the moment I finished my O levels. Like it was something that
Damn, how do
Wow,
I wanted to be.
Wow.
Yeah.
that's amazing
it,
actually.
it's like because when I saw it, like I okay, so like my first impression when I was reading it, like fashion designer came to mind, and then like designer, like I didn't know advertising, but I know like something design related, because when I was in sec 2 there was this computer lesson where um you actually learn how to create a poster using Photoshop, and I love like editing it to a point like my first assignment I had about 30 layers of artwork in that particular poster, and my teacher was a bit
Wow.
surprised. But the funny thing was, like when I was in sec 3 I didn't take art, but then I was good in
Mm.
drawing. Yeah, but it was funny. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just to give context, like I think my parents, they know like to be successful is definitely like the straight path is like O levels, A levels, university. So it's been inbuilt in me. Like even my relatives were telling it's been inbuilt with me. So the moment I actually finished O levels, I didn't do that well. I got about 23, so I can't enter JC. So there was a decision made, like it's either I go into a 3-year course, JC, which is a centralized institute, or like go into poly lah. So in my mind that I wanted to be a designer, so I wanted to put it as my first choice, and then like to make my parents happy, like like put that as my second choice. But then like after pressure, and like my mom like, no, you must do this, like try lah, 3 years and everything. Then that's where like okay lor. Like at that point of time, like kids, right? We also, I mean, like even though you're certain, you're still not certain. So like, okay, never
Mm,
mind. Like just follow what my mom said, and like put
You're
it as
young.
first choice. But then like in
yeah.
my crossing
Totally
fingers every
get it.
single day, like they don't accept me, and then I eventually get into NYP for graphic design lah. But then didn't happen. yeah, but then after that, like I think I mean I've told this story to Haziq and Praveen. So like I dropped out of JC, I dropped out of CI, and then I wanted to take A levels again when I was in NS, but then it didn't went through because on the day that I took the GP paper, I just wrote one paragraph and I don't know what hit me, like like I'm done. Then I just walked off, like just like 15 minutes in,
Wow.
just put the paper down and then walked off, went back home, and then I told my mom that I didn't want to take my A levels anymore. Yeah, that's where
Oh,
I
you
think,
know, you knew what's up.
yeah, like
You knew like, okay, I'm gonna waste my time. Like,
yeah, like
okay.
I didn't study. I wasn't like putting a lot of effort in. Then I knew like the results definitely gonna be bad. So like why put my time in there? But then like so like along the way there was some story. There was some I met someone who actually saw one of my artwork and told me lah like hey then he sent me this link to a private school and then say like hey I think you should try this, like I think you will grow there. But so from there, like I think because of that and because what happened after the A levels, like it's really like set in stone. And then I said like I wanted to take this path. Like, it's gonna be dark, it's gonna be gloomy, but like you know what, like just go for it lah. So I mean like pressing on.
Mhm.
So I think like to tell my career path it's not that straight. So I was a security guard for 2 years. So I saved a little bit of money and then I went into this school and studied graphic design. And
Mhm.
when I was in there, after 2 years into it, like I decided like, hey, security guard, being a security guard, like it's a bit tough because of the shift. So I was lucky enough to actually go into this like IT company where they actually provide learning management systems for schools, and I was posted to a school, and that's where in school I taught like computer studies to kids, and that was where I
Mhm.
mean I was also lucky enough that my head of department suddenly said like, hey, I think they've already learned Microsoft Office in primary school, like I think we don't have to teach them anymore, like is there anything that you feel that you can teach them? And I don't know why it came to my mind to actually say like, hey, let's do videography. So that's where I actually self-learn myself into videography, like into production. And while I was doing that, and I was studying to be a designer, and from that also freelancing. And that's where I also found out like, hey, maybe freelancing doesn't give me the opportunity to learn what the industry is all about. And that's where in 2013 I actually joined a company, and that's where I met Haziq. And truth be told, my journey as an artist also started there because like when they saw illustration, I think Haziq saw it, they said like, hey bro, like you can become artist like this. Then I'm like, okay, like how to start become artist Then he said, bro, got social media, just post only. Like
I
anything
don't
you can
remember
do.
saying that, sir. Was it
Eh no,
me?
I think it's Shaq.
Is it
Yeah,
me?
I think it's probably Shaq.
It's not me lah. Anyhow only.
Yeah, sorry. But then but
Shout
then
out to Shaq.
while we were
But
doing
you need
what we were
to
doing
fast forward 7 years.
sorry?
What?
Now you're 2013. I think you need to fast forward about 7 years, lah, bro.
Yeah, but then like hey, fast forward, like yeah, I run a collective right now, like doing
That's
brands,
right.
like big brands and like doing illustration. Thanks, thanks, bro, for putting up. No, but you see, so that's why I feel like I okay. One thing I like about conversations like this, and especially talking to artists, is where you can actually learn that the path to becoming an artist, right, is never a straight path, and becoming a
Yep.
designer is
Sure.
never the
Mhm.
conventional way. And I just love hearing like individual artist stories and their backgrounds. Like you never know that there's like a journey that is different from everyone, and it's very interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's
So that's
true.
why like I mean like hearing you share your story is like wow, is totally interesting. I mean to a point like even looking at your artistic style, like I think my question like after all this has been transpired, like what would you advise like future younger designers, creatives or artists, like how do you inspire them to actually achieve like what you have achieved? Yeah.
Wow.
Very hard question.
Sorry.
I need to think.
I saw the buffering symbols. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Suddenly hang.
Oh,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, how would you inspire?
I don't know, man. Like
I feel like
honestly,
your work
I
speaks for
don't
itself, yeah.
I don't like to be like, you know, oh my god, look at me, and like listen to me talk.
okay, wait. But first, I think let's change the energy a little bit.
Mhm.
Why do you have a Valley Girl accent?
Huh?
Why do you have a Valley Girl accent? Like, when did
That's when like
Was
that's
that
when
Bro,
I'm trying to
this one is
imitate someone.
was it
Bruh,
like?
bruh, bruh.
It's not a valley girl accent.
No, did
I
you
think,
do it ironically at first, then it stuck as a habit, like
Yeah, I did it ironically, and then it's just like.
it
But
became you.
anyway, I
bruh,
wouldn't
but
say
I think
like
it's personal branding.
basically.
I think it works. It works well with
Yeah.
Happy. Personal branding. I think
Uh,
hinges
Happy
on her, which is Happy.
Valley.
I was just saying that like I wouldn't say like, oh wow, I'm inspiring, but like I just like seeing um younger creatives, like especially like when I have interns come in and like I see like their energy and like how like they're working like so hard just to like learn all these kind of things. Like I really love like the energy that's coming from them. And like sometimes you think you hire an intern, they're there to like learn, but actually to me, right, like I also learn like a lot from them, because like I feel like seeing them being so enthusiastic, being so like motivated, that also kind of like the energy kind of like rubs off you. So like you will also be like, oh my god, like like I wish I had that kind of energy. Like sometimes like you feel like so jaded, doing the same old things again and again. But when you see someone like younger doing it, like it really inspires you to you know push yourself even further, like creatively. And like yeah, shout out to like my best intern ever, Clara. She's
Damn,
like
Clara.
the most awesome person like ever. Cause like I think the journey from like her, Clara, Clarot and Clarot,
Oh, oh, her name is Claire. Oh shit, I didn't know
yeah,
the name.
you know her
I know
sister,
Claire.
you know her sister. Yeah.
Yes.
So Clarot. So basically like, so how she asked like for an internship with me is like she actually like DM me on Instagram. And I think like that's such a brave thing to do, because like I also did the exact same thing when I wanted to get my own internship. But of course I didn't like DM on Instagram lah, because I think during my time that time, like we were actually like at grad shows, and then I actually like asked my ex-boss like, hey, do you think you have a spot in your design agency? And then after that, like he was like, yeah, I like it,
So
you're
you
brave.
salute
And then
lah.
after that, yeah, and then I actually got like an internship. And then yeah, so like I think how Clara asked me for an internship, that really like shows me how much she wanted that role. And I think from like
Didn't.
I actually already had like an intern, and because like she was so like enthusiastic, I asked my boss like, hey, do you think we have like space for another intern? So like I brought her in, and then yeah, the rest was history, man. And I think it was a great like partnership as well, because like I hope and I think like she learned a lot from like her internship, and also like this like synergy of like creativeness. And even up until now we are like such great friends. So from like being like her mentor to like being like her friend now, it's just like really great. And she even I actually invited her to like do some like visual projections on my solo
Show.
exhibition day. Yeah, so like on the first day. So what she did was like she took my illustrations and like she animated them. And
Mhm.
yeah, she was like so willing to do it because I told her like, hey Clara, like you're so good at like, you know, doing all these like projections. And I knew that like that was what she wanted to delve into. And yeah, it really felt good that like, you know, I gave her that chance to, you know, do this, like, you know, basically like give her like a platform. And yeah, it was just great like getting to work with her from like
this is
being
a cool.
an intern to like, yeah,
It's a cool story, yeah. Like your relationship with your intern. I wish I had that kind of relationship with my interns.
Ah, ah.
you always bully them, right?
No, no. Shout out to my interns.
What, I never complain, no. Okay, but let's,
I think
yeah.
with Clara, it's like one of the rare like relationships that like you see like you get like from intern becoming like good friends and like, you know, just yeah, we
So
can
you kind of
basically
shape
talk
her
about.
lah.
I wouldn't say I shaped her. I think she shaped herself. So
You
yeah,
enable.
I was just like there to like help her, just like give her a bit of encouragement and like yeah,
Hey, how like that?
encouragement.
Damn, damn, dude.
Wow.
Shape rough.
You also like liking some of the encouragement. Okay, but okay, so Hafi, I think let's talk about the biggest project, and I think, well, I mean, the highlight of your year so far, right, was what was the name of
The
that?
only highlight of my year.
Okay, pandemic. The pandemic. More dates equal more exhibition. But okay, what inspired that particular exhibition? Why the sudden impulse? Like, you know what? The world needs to know about all my bad dates.
I wouldn't say it's an impulse because like I think it has been a long time coming. Like surprisingly, when I was in uni, I actually wanted to do like a similar project, but I felt that I wasn't like emotionally ready. Like I did actually like put it in, like I wrote it down in like my journal, and like I actually like pitched the idea to my teacher, but yeah, it just wasn't like I wasn't giving it my all. It was like, yes, I want to share, but I'm also like shy, like, you know, I don't want to share everything. So like I guess she also sensed that, you know, like, yeah, this project's not gonna work, man, unless, you know, you give it your all. So back then I wasn't like ready because I think like
What
I
changed?
always
What changed in
yeah,
the last
like,
few years? You feel like, yeah,
I just
I got
became
it.
like a confident woman, I guess.
Well,
So,
yeah. When did the liberation happen? Huh? When did your awakening happen, Nafi?
let me think.
Yeah.
But
The Irish guy
I think
or?
basically like I have been actively on like dating apps since like I think since I was in uni.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it was really just like for fun. And then I always like collect all these like stupid stories that I have with my friends. And then they would all think like it's like really hilarious and like they're just like in awe, like how come like I meet all these like fucking weird guys here like all the time. Like why are the stories all so funny but like weird? And then
Okay, how would you describe
yeah,
the guys that you draw in? Maybe it's an artist thing. Maybe you're drawing a certain type of guy. Well, how would you describe the guys that you consistently encounter?
I would say that
Say it.
See?
most of them are like white then
Okay, why? Why the white boys? Like, do you have a thing for white boys, or do white boys have a thing for you?
I don't know, man. Okay, so honestly, I don't have a type, but like if I say that to my friends, they would all be like, "Oh my god, Hafiz lying." But I don't know lah. I just like swipe. Then it's like all the white guys only talk to me, so I'm just like, yeah, it just happens, man. The universe, like the algorithms, you know.
White guys in your way.
So yeah,
I think
just so happens to be like white guys.
It's a
Yeah.
white guy algorithm where white guys will always be upfront and straight, right? And then like Asians will be like, hey, I
Could be,
swipe
could be.
right, match, but then I shine lah, like ting ting ting. Then after 5 days, then like then habis. Apa sia? What the heck?
Ooh, but
Actually, that is kind of true.
Yeah.
Because like I think when I use apps, right, I get like really impatient. It's like, you better reply me now, or like don't waste my time, like seriously. So I think like, I will only kind of layan the ones that like will constantly like,
So,
be like
Mhm.
replying,
those
but
guys
yeah.
watching this video, like, if you want to date Hafi, the moment you match at that
So you're-
millisecond, reply. Okay, don't fucking wait. Alright, don't like, oh, I'm thinking of like just type HI send. Okay,
Hit it when it's hot.
yeah. Come on, guys. She's waiting, man. She has joined
Ball.
a new app. Yeah, what's up?
But okay, Bumble, she has to make the first move lah. So
Yeah,
Mhm.
you got to be the bumblebee.
Yeah.
You know, you got to sting it when it's
Eh.
hot.
I always give the best intro to all the Bumble guys. Yeah,
What do you think?
it's really dumb shit, honestly. Just
Tell
now
us.
there was a guy who has a lot of things in his pockets, like in one of his picture. I think he was wearing like cargo pants.
He's
Maybe you're just
Doraemon,
happy to
is
see
it?
you.
Is he Doraemon? No.
But then I go and say, hey, Paul, I'm gonna buy you a bag. I'm gonna see what he replies. I don't know whether he'll get it or not.
Why are you dating guys in cargo pants?
I never say I'm gonna date him, or I'm just gonna like play with him.
So if
Like, if you
you're,
want him to,
hey guy, if you are matched with Hafi and you're wearing cargo pants, it's a no. Okay, it's a no.
Disclaimer.
It's a no. And if you're the one that she's
No
talk-
cargo
that she's-
pants.
if you're
Yeah.
the one that she's talking about, yeah, it's time to find another match. Move on.
no, okay, but happy. Like when you go out and you date like local guys, or if you actually do go out with local guys, right?
Mhm.
Is the problem that they haven't moved out? Do you see that as a problem now, having moved out yourself?
Actually, I do see that as a problem.
Boom.
And like I think like, yeah, it is a problem. I feel, yeah, totes.
What is it? Like, okay, like for me personally, the moving out forces you to be a lot more independent. That's like
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Right? And then of course there is also that the comfort of, like, if you have a date, it's a bit of a natural progression if you go to the person's house as opposed to
Mhm.
like, hey, wanna go like Hotel 81 or something, like, it's not, yeah, I went there lah, right? Y'all wanted a high tempo.
Whoa.
lah,
Good to know.
okay?
Good to know.
Okay. Yeah. TMI. But
I mean,
Right? Like, disclosure. But yeah, so Avi, like, what do you think? Like now, like, having your own place. Like, why did you move out? What do you think about the local guys dating scene? They themselves have not moved out yet. So, what's it like? What's the vibe like? Give us the
I
lowdown.
don't wanna like talk shit about them, because I mean
Hey,
that's
talk
their
shit.
life, and
That's
like,
the whole point of this channel is to talk shit. I agree.
but anyway, yeah. No, I feel like moving out is just like a personal decision, and like,
What
if
brought
you're
about it?
ready, then like do it, why I wanted to move out. Well, basically, like I think this year I'm like 32, so I feel like, like I've been living with my parents for like my whole life, entire life basically, and it has come to a point where, like, it's not that I'm like sick of them or anything, but it's just that, when you reach a certain age, you kind of want to have like your own space to do like your own things. And also like I these past few years I've been doing a lot of like art, like my own art, and like, but I feel like for sure I need like a bigger space, and like a space for myself to, explore more stuff.
Like nudes.
And
Mhm.
I mean, like nudes, I always draw, then my mom see it and she's like, why you always draw like naked people? you know. And I'm
You
just
fun-
like, you don't understand, mom. This is art. Yeah, I say that to her.
Wow.
you don't get it, mom.
But it's like, it's something that like she sees, and then every time like when I draw, then she will like kepo, like like see, and then she'll asking me like, oh, today what you draw? And then if I don't draw, then she'll be like, why today you never draw? Like sometimes it's like this kind of pressure, like you just want to be left alone and like just do things on your own pace. But yeah, basically like I have been wanting to like move out because yeah, I just want to be independent because I feel like staying at home, it's so easy for my mom to just like baby me.
Mhm.
And I realized like like I take all that things for granted, like, oh, I wake up and then she's already made me breakfast, and then after that like I go to work, and then sometimes she will like pack lunch for me, and then like when I come home, like, oh, dinner is already like on the table, that kind of thing. So it's like there's no chance for me to be an adult. And I also feel like because like in Singapore, like like there's this mentality where like oh, you can only move out when like you get married, or like when you found someone to BTO with. So like that kind of thing, obviously it's not
Mhm.
happening to me anytime soon. So I have to find other ways that I can move out. And like if I can rely on myself to move out, then like that's even great lah. So like and I felt like it was just the right time, and everything just happened, like everything was just aligned at that moment in time. Like my friend Soko found this awesome space, and then we went to like view it, and then it was just like everything was just perfect lah. And then I had a talk with my parents like twice, and then involved my mom like crying also. But I guess like she at first, like when she did cry about it, it was because like she kept saying like, oh, it's not that I don't want you to move out, it's just that like it's because you're my only daughter. So I still see you like, oh, my baby. Yeah, like
Mhm.
I do get that, but like I also told her like my perspective of it. Like I say to her like, yeah, just give me a chance to
Mhm.
prove to you that I can do all these things on my own. I can be like independent. And yeah, I told her like, you should be proud that like I'm actually like I can rely on myself. So that's a plus point.
Mhm.
I told her that. And I
Soon
think
before,
like, sorry.
sorry, I want to ask how soon before it became the status quo, where she was like, okay, she's used to it because that happened to a lot of like my friends too. Like their parents kicked
Mhm.
up a fuss when they moved out, but then it actually became the new normal very quickly after that. Was that the case for you?
I think
Like,
for me, like I try to involve like my parents also, like in the process, like like I don't keep it a secret from them. Like I think me telling them like earlier that like I want to move out, like getting them acquainted with the idea, getting them like acquainted with like the idea of like me like moving out, and like not like to another country lah. Like I kept telling them like it's not as though I'm moving to another country or what. It's just like literally like a bus ride away. The bus ride is very long lah, but like, it's still like I told them it's like Singapore is like so small, man. So like I think it's just gaining their trust, because yeah, it's really hard like with like Asian parents for sure, because they have their own ideas of like things. But I think like I know my parents well, and I feel like by including them in like decisions, like I always show them like, oh, look at how like the house look like, it's gonna be like so cool. And then I'll tell them like, oh my god, mom, it's like so near Mustafa, you can like go shopping here, then after that drop by my house, that kind of thing. Like things like this like make her really happy. And like yeah, I still call her and I still like visit her like once a week. So I guess like and she also like went to the house and like have like dinner here. So it's just like these little things that makes her feel you know, comfortable or like make her feel like at ease. So yeah, I guess it's like a two-way thing lah. Yeah.
I got a
That's very
question.
powerful.
Like when you were staying with your parents, like did your mom like critique your
Mhm.
work, like look at your news and then say, tu macam besar sangat sih. Like, hitamnya.
She didn't.
Oh, tak.
No lah, she didn't say that lah. But she's more like, I think like those nudes, like when I draw, she a bit like she don't like it, and she's like on my Instagram, like yeah, she sometimes like she will check my Instagram and then she'll be like, why you always draw this like nude things lah?
Or is it like
Yeah, she'll
she
just
has an
ask
account.
me.
she's not the extreme mom like when she see the Instagram post, she's like astaghfirullahalazim, and then like you know, like apa ni nak?
No lah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, she understands that like, you know, it's art, I guess. But like, yeah, like she just tell me like, yeah, I don't like it. And then I will also tell her like, yeah, you don't like, then don't see lah, you know, like,
Mhm,
yeah, we are both Leos, by the way, so like very strong personalities.
mhm. Alright, cool.
Yeah, but have you come across a situation where you do an artwork that your parents actually see it and they disapprove it?
I have not, but I can tell you an old story that I think I've told you before during my primary school time.
Okay,
So I
Okay.
was artistic from
keep it short though.
Yeah, and it so happens when I was in primary 5, like you know where you discover porn and shit. And I mean I might say it
Okay.
I don't know whether should I say it now. Like I'm starting to regret it. Like yeah, so I drew and sold post-it illustrations of that to friends for like 50
Damn.
cents. Yeah,
Whoa! Wow.
yeah.
You sold the
Wait, what?
post-it.
Does it move? So it's like,
No, it's just
it's
like
like the
illustration
animation
of
kind
like
of.
no, it's just like it's wow, I wish I was innovative.
I still got your
Don't have.
Wow, I still got yours, bro.
Wow, I didn't know you're a big fan of my work last time. My
Early
whole-
fan, bro. Like,
my whole-
I'm a collector, man.
yeah, but then eventually I was caught by my form tutor because like it happened to be in my pencil case, and then like I don't know why that particular day when we were having tests, then she like was rummaging through my pencil case because I think she thought like I was copying or something, and then she saw it. Then I like
Wow.
yeah, but then the funny
Again,
thing
man, the
was like
system
I was lucky enough
censoring
to I was lucky enough to leave with a warning because like apparently I was one of the better performing students in school lah. And she said like, you know, you shouldn't be drawing all this. You know, it will affect your grades and you will be a bad
Mental health.
yeah, you will be a bad student.
Mental health.
And then I'm like looking at her like I just draw so that I can buy more snacks and buy more rubber eraser from the bookshop. You know, last time we played the eraser wrestling, right? Where we like flip. Yeah, so we were like
The
buying
countries ah.
10 cents a pop, and then like you know we can buy a box. Yeah, like you just need that to live, man, to survive your daily life as a student. Yeah, but yeah, that's what happened when I was young. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just want to touch in a bit of that because I recently just kena
Mhm.
because for
What?
VI we actually
For drawing
we did
nudes.
so we did the COVID how to work from home during COVID
Oh
yeah.
for partners.
I remember
So I
that
did
one.
that. Sialah, my mom text me sia. For the first time ever, my mom actually commented on my work. And I'm like, I said, it's just an artwork lah, ma. That's it.
But you know
So
sometimes,
awkward, yeah.
well, guys, you know that sometimes parents, right, when they want to hit you, right, they hit you with things that is really out of context. So like for example, your situation, you know, sometimes like I don't know, like my parent will say things like, why do you draw things that you do with your wife on illustration and then post on Instagram? Sir?
Damn.
And then when you cut out, you're like,
Okay lah, lucky my mom not like that lah. My mom just said, Kenapa macam ini
Tu lah.
So the good thing is now I know that my mom consume my content.
Okay, but yeah, Happy, what do we expect from you coming up soon?
Yeah.
What are you working on right now at this moment?
2020. Whoa, what's up?
I think nowadays I've been doing a lot of like artworks that are like, I think if you see my recent ones, it's always like I revisit old photographs of like my grandma or like my family members or like my relatives,
saw that.
and then yeah, like really old photographs, and then I illustrate them. So I think the reason why I did that is because I feel like I just want to give more. Oh yeah, that one, yes.
Hey, this is cool, man. I love it, yeah.
That's
I
really
know.
sick. That's a beautiful
Like,
aesthetic.
yeah, that's like my grand aunt with her friend. So basically, like I found like a stash of like old photos of my grandma, and like what she does when she was younger. She would just like go to like photo studios with her friends, and they would just like take pictures. Like, then I asked like for what, and then she's like, "Oh, for the memories," you know.
Hey, Afi,
So-
that's their version of a neoprene back then.
Yeah, precisely. So it's like it's really interesting because like that's literally what they do. Like they would just like dress up, and then they would like, oh, let's take photos. And even if it's not like with family, it's like just with friends, and it could be like totally like chill, like the one with my grand aunt. That one was like really funny. The one with like the sunglasses, and I thought it was like really cool. Yeah, and
That's cool, yeah.
I feel like there's so many of these photographs that I've uncovered, and there's like a lot of stories behind them. And also part of it is because like my grandma, she has like dementia, so she doesn't really remember like a lot of things. But if like you show her like all these photographs, and like when I have conversations with her about like, you know, oh, tell me like stories from when you were younger, like she can vividly like remember like all these. And like the first one that I did of her and like her friend in like the baju kurung, like when I showed her, she was like so happy. Like you can see it from her face. She was like, "Oh my god, like you know, you painted this." Like her face just like totally lit up. And I think part of like doing the art was also like, you know, having these conversations with my grandma to like know what, you know, the narrative behind it is. And I also think I want to give like more visibility to like, you know, my culture and also like my identity, because I think like a huge chunk of like who I am as like a Malay person or like a Javanese person, like I often like kind of like sweep it away when I was like younger, because like I feel like there was a part of me that like was like struggling to like fit into, you know, what society's ideal was. And it didn't help that like, you know, when I was in poly or like when I was in school, like I was in a situation where like I was maybe like one or like the few minorities in like, you know, in a class setting or like in a school setting. So yeah, that definitely like contributed a lot to like my confusion of like, you know, who I am as a Malay person in this context. So, and there was a lot of like pushing it aside. There was a lot of like, you know, trying not to associate with it because of like shame, because of like stereotypes. But then I guess like, yeah, like,
Much of Malay culture, for example, has influenced your art, or rather your painting in particular? I mean, I can see a certain aesthetic, certain influence. Like, what elements have you borrowed in your art?
Yeah.
I think like I've drawn, I think from now, just like recently, it's just like old photos of my grandma, but in like traditional costume or like traditional garb. And like most of the drawings that I did, like I've never actually like delved into like, you know, drawing people in like traditional Malay costumes or like in kebayas, you know. And I think like me illustrating like women, like my grandma, like back then when she was like younger or like when she was like my age, like wearing like, you know, traditional costumes and like, you know, having fun with like her girlfriends. I feel like that gives like a lot of like insight to like what being like a Malay person is, I would
Have
say.
you at least in the last few years found
Mhm.
that wanting to connect more of your heritage? Like
Oh
what
yes, for sure.
do you have a moment
Okay.
where it really clicked for you and you're like, wow, you know what, I really want to go deep into this.
Yeah, I feel like um I just get frustrated and like sometimes like angry when we have people from like the majority race or like whatever like borrowing like our culture or like, you know, borrowing like certain ideas of like our culture and like turning it into like their own or like calling it their own.
No,
Yeah.
feel free to throw out an example. Is it like Violet Un recently? That was
Oh
the
yeah, that
Violet
one
Un.
was like, yeah, the
But
Nyonya.
is there something more for you, like something more visceral that like you still think about?
Mhm.
Like, I saw this
Mm,
example of appropriation. I'm like, ah, this irritates me.
I know. I just feel like there is not enough representation in terms of like Malay culture in general, or like because like I think for me, right, as a like if you delve into it, like yeah, my grandparents are from like my maternal grandparents are from like Malaysia, and like my paternal grandparents are from like Indonesia. So there's a lot of like amalgamation of like cultures, and it's all totally like different. But somehow, you know, it got like really kind of like mixed up together, and people think like it's just like, oh, it's just, you know, something that is not like very, how to say, um very deep, or like something that is very like diverse. But actually like in that spectrum itself, it's like there's so many things that you can like pull out from it, and there's so many things that you
Mm.
can learn, which I am still learning as well. So yeah, I think like it's just making up for like all those lost times where I was just like trying to push away like knowing what my culture and like what my heritage is. And
Right.
I feel like I did go through like a process of like, you know, or finding myself first, and then now like trying to like, I think now it's like the maybe I'm just like trying to like accept more of like what my culture is, and yeah, like I'm totally like willing to learn more about it. So yeah, I think like now, like with the photography project that I'm doing, like I'm trying to make it like a bigger thing, and
Can you
probably
tell us
make
more
an
about the photography
exhibition.
project?
Yeah, I'm just like collecting like old photos of my family members and turning them into like illustrations and like capturing like all their stories and narratives. So right now I'm just like posting it on Instagram, and it has gotten like a lot of like great feedback, because I think it's really interesting to see this other side of like, you know, like I said, like being a Malay or like being a Javanese woman. Yeah. So
Mhm.
like it's like our culture is like so diverse, but like so little people know about it. And yeah, just putting it out there. And I think like it's good for like people to like learn about it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
Mhm.
very rich heritage of the Nusantara and all the peoples around.
Yeah.
Like something like I always vibe with Zeke about this. Like one thing that I feel really passionate about, I feel really strongly about is like the kind of erosion of Malay culture, even within Malaysia itself, because there is much like how maybe here we're having a stronger Western influence. There's an
Mhm.
Arabization of culture, and then with that,
Yeah.
a lot of traditional attire, traditional practices all slowly diminish. So I think artists like you are very useful to keep not only elements of the culture alive, but to reinterpret them in ways that are very accessible
Mhm.
for modern Malays
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
So with that, I think we can wrap it up. Zeke, Bal, any final words on the vibe for today?
Actually, I have a question regarding her relationship with the grandma. I follow you on Instagram, right? Then I found out I kind of noticed that you are very close to your grandma. Like you look you guys look cute together. How you guys are interacting. When you're moving out, how did she react to it?
Actually, because of her dementia, she doesn't really like, she cannot really grasp like the concept of me moving out. So like every time when I go back home, I think she either thinks like I come back from work, or like when I leave,
Okay.
I'm like going somewhere. Yeah.
Okay.
So like even like, and then she will keep asking me like, where are you going? And then I say, oh, I'm going back home. And then she would ask me like, huh, you have a home? Like, you have a house? And then I would say, then I would have to like explain to her all over again. And then she'll be like, oh, okay. Yeah. So like she cannot really like grasp the concept yet because of like her dementia. And it's quite surprising because like growing up, I wasn't that close to her. I think like, yeah, definitely like me staying home a lot for like circuit breaker, that for sure helps a lot. Like I spend a lot more time with her now, and I think like slowly I understand like her habits and like why she's like that. Because yeah, you kind of need a lot of patience for people with like, you know, dementia, especially because like, yeah, they keep asking you like the same questions, and then like they have like a certain routine that they keep doing again and again. So yeah, you just have to be like really patient with her and like, yeah,
Okay.
understand now. Yeah.
Okay. Bal, any question?
No, I'm good.
So we'll do a wrap up thing where so Hafi, why don't you tell us where we can find you, where our audience can find you, anywhere on social media you prefer, any projects that you want them to keep an eye out, and this is the time for you to give us the plug. Plug it hard.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my Instagram handle is like so easy to remember, at fee. That's like 3 ha's and a fee at the
One
back.
Pass,
Yeah. And my website is the same also, fee.com. So yeah, you can see like I've revamped my website, so it's like all like most of my latest works basically. But if you are more interested in like the photography project that I'm currently doing, which does not have a name yet, just follow me on Instagram. Like, yeah, nowadays I'm kind of busy, but I would try to like post like stuff every 2 weeks, I guess. Content. Yeah.
Hella productive.
Sorry, what?
Mal, do you see something?
No.
I'm looking at her website. Wow, her artworks are quite.
Do you do any paid
Content.
gigs? Like, do people approach you for like more commission works or any projects?
Actually, surprisingly, yes. Like even though it's like
Noise.
not a great time like financially right now because of like the whole COVID thing. But yeah, and I think like the kind of jobs that I get approached to doing is like the kind of jobs that I want to do. So
That's
it's
perfect.
like, yeah, it's really great. It's just like illustrating for like books, and it's very like women centric as well. So it's like a lot to do with like gender and like mostly like the topics that I like to draw. So it's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So if guys, you need
So,
Hafi's spin on art, right, for your specific book or your specific social cause, hit her up. She's your girl. Right.
it,
Oh, wow.